So I'm going to read an excerpt from my book, which is Venus in Virgo, Archetypes of Goddess Consciousness in Astrology. This is a book about astrology, and it's a book, the third chapter is about the source of true power. It's my belief that astrology is a science of power. It is all about power, and this is why it has had so much influence in the past upon cultures, and why it is still held close to the chest, essentially, of a lot of powerful people. So let's have at it. This is just an excerpt, but it's going to give you some of the basic ideas of my theory about how you can see power relationships within the zodiac itself. Finding the source of true power. Power drives astrology. Astrology charts the natural flow of the life force energy through the year, and it shows us the complex web of interrelations between the planetary archetypes and the signs, and each other. And the natural flow is central to the story. Power is not only imposed or established through acts of will upon others and our environment. It derives from right analysis, right expression, right exertion, assertion, individuation, resistance, and action, some of the masculine principles. On the other hand, it derives from right reception, submission, listening, abeyance, contemplation, and immersion, the feminine principles, in the specific context of the environment, the prototypical sign. What I'm saying here is that power is not only something that we impose or establish upon others, but our environment is the source of power. Our right relation to our environment gives us power, and that includes both masculine principles and feminine principles. Power of this kind is analogous to the primal electricity that flows in nature and in creation as a whole. It is ever present in potential, but is only accessible to the native when they meet the energetic demands of the sign. The exact quality and direction of this power matches the quality and direction of the life force in the season. So what I'm saying here is that this power is always present, and it is not a mystery necessarily, but it has to do with the seasons. It has to do with our relationship to the seasons and our right action within the season, which again can be on the assertive side, or it can be on the submissive and or receptive side, where we need to put the right energy out into the world, essentially. And this applies to our relationships with other people, where if we are excessively domineering, or if we are on the opposite side, too submissive to other people, if we let other people walk all over us, obviously that's going to be a problem. Or if we try and exert ourselves excessively in ways that we are obviously just running roughshod over other people, that's not going to work. But what I'm talking about here is something, those are obvious and extreme examples that happen all the time too, and this is useful for understanding that, but this is also something more subtle. Traditional astrology is based on the specific rulership scheme of planetary types who hold dominion over different real estate plots carved into the sky, which are the signs, and these point directly back to the seasons here on Earth. The sign is not only territory in the heavens. The vast terrain was thought of as an essentially primordial, deep, dark, feminine, watery firmament through which the shining, fiery, and relatively masculine planets travel, and the foreign fixed stars animate in a perpetual passion play. So the sign rulers, the traditional rulers of the signs that was not only their affinity to a particular territory that gave them rulership. There were much more subtle things, and the logic of why a particular sign was ruled by a particular archetype is something that's not very much there's not many creative ideas of why that, you know, we've definitely inherited the system, but have we inherited exactly why it works the way it does, and what are the reasons that a certain archetype would rule a certain season? We also have a zodiac in which the each of the planets, with the exception of the sun and the moon, rule two signs, which is a very interesting thing because it kind of shows us that each archetypal ruler has a more masculine side and a more feminine side, because there's each one of them rules a masculine sign, either a fire sign or a air sign, or they rule a water sign, and they also rule a water sign or a earth sign. So does it take a more masculine ruler to rule a more masculine sign? That's a good question. Does it take a more feminine ruler to rule a more feminine sign? Maybe. But the logic that I see behind this is actually the logic of goddess worship, hence the name of my book, The Archetypes of Goddess Consciousness in Astrology. This is about the life force itself, and how does the life force appear in each sign, and how is it best shepherded through that seasonal landscape. And the ruler of each sign has, according to the system, the keys to unlock each of these territories, that they have a some sort of special relationship to this season. And again, this is about the life force. This is about the life force being the goddess herself, embodiment. So this is a relationship between consciousness and the embodied universe, these two aspects of reality, that we need to look at this system both in a mythical way, because each of these archetypes has its equivalent in the mythology, the Greek and the Roman mythology, but also these archetypes are universal throughout various types of mythology. And the myths are slightly different, so it's good to look at other sort of syncretized rulers to the ones that we see in the Greek and Roman tradition, because the Greek and Roman have a very particular cultural milieu, and it's not equal to some others. And it's also my belief that certain archetypes are given somewhat of a short shrift and are misunderstood in the Hellenistic. If you transpose the mythology of the Hellenes onto this zodiac, you can find that there's maybe some things that could be expounded on in bigger ways, that you can go to other mythologies to find those things. All right, my name is Michael. If you're interested, again, in power and power relationships and navigating them in a way that is natural, that is a combination, as I said, using the masculine principles and the feminine principles, because generally, as I said, we usually think of exertion and force and these things that are more on the masculine side as ways to gain power, and actually it's not only that. And again, if you look at like the Tao Te Ching, it tells you that you should be like a woman, that you should be like the valley, you be like the water. It uses all of these metaphors for feminine aspects of things, which are actually the ways to unleash power. If you're interested in this, again, my name is Michael. You can direct message me. My website is michaelmsuter.com. I can get you a reading, and we can talk about how these archetypes can help you to unleash and unlock power in your life.